In the heart of Agbafu village, there lived a woman named Ngozi, the daughter of Ezerika. Ngozi was married to 2 husbands, and their names were Emeka and Uche. This is how it all started. Many years ago, when Ngozi was just a young lady, she was in love with a young man named Emeka, and he loved her dearly too. Their love was strong that everyone in the village envied them. However, there was a problem that lurked to break the very bond of this beautiful love. While Ngozi was one of the most beautiful young ladies in Agbafu, Emeka was just a poor farmer. Crowds of men, wealthy and well-to-do, would come to Ezerika's compound in gifts, seeking the hand of beautiful Ngozi in marriage. However, Ngozi was not moved by their money or gifts. She declared that Emeka was the only man that she loved and would marry. And so Ngozi and Emeka got married, and Ngozi moved into Emeka's little hut, and they started living together as husband and wife. 3 years into their marriage, Ngozi and Emeka already had a son named Chima, and Ngozi was pregnant for their second child. But things were not moving well for them, as Emeka kept on growing poorer with each passing day. It got so bad that they could hardly have one proper meal a day. Ngozi worked tirelessly on the farm, supporting her husband, but nothing changed. Her friends soon began to mock her for rejecting all the wealthy men in the village to marry poor Emeka. One day, when Ngozi was 6 months pregnant for their second child, Emeka made a decision that would change the course of their lives forever. Emeka decided to go to the city in search of greener pastures. He promised to come back for her and the children once he got a job in the city. Ngozi was heartbroken, but she had no other option other than to agree if this meant a better future for them. And so Emeka left his wife Ngozi and his son to go in search of a better life for all of them. Ngozi continued working on her husband's farm to provide food for herself and her son. Months later, in Emeka's absence, Ngozi gave birth to a beautiful baby girl and named her Chizoba. With Emeka gone, his uncle Onyedika claimed his land, and Ngozi and the kids were left with nothing. One of Ngozi's friends, Amara, introduced her to a fish business, so Ngozi started working with the fishermen in the river. She will help them to gather the fishes, but at the end of the day, she will be given a basket of fish. Ngozi will sell her basket of fish later in the market and use the money to buy food for her children. The fish business was not enough, but at least Ngozi and her children always had food to eat. 2 years passed and Ngozi did not hear from her husband Emeka. Despite having 2 kids, Ngozi still had her beauty. Men began to flock around her again, but she dismissed all of them, claiming that she would wait for her husband Emeka. A year passed again without a sign of Emeka. Ngozi grew more worried with each passing day that Emeka failed to return or communicate with her. One day, Ngozi met a very rich man who came into the village from the city. The rich man's name was Uche. He fell for Ngozi immediately he set his eyes on her. However, like all the others, Ngozi told him that she was waiting for her husband. Unlike the other men, Uche was moved by Ngozi's plight. He could not bear to see such a beautiful woman suffering so much. Even if she would not marry him, Uche was determined to take care of Ngozi and her children. He told her that he does not care if she marries him or not. Uche established a fabric business in the village for Ngozi, enrolled her children in good schools, renovated their house and provided for their every need. Within a year of Uche coming into their lives, things began to change. She rose to become the biggest fabric seller in Agbafu. In the midst of all of this, Ngozi was yet to hear from Emeka. It had been 5 years since he left for the city in search of greener pastures, and he has not returned, Neither has Ngozi had a word from him since he left. Ngozi was beginning to lose faith that Emeka would ever return to her and their children. Uche had been very good to them. So after a long thought, Ngozi finally agreed to marry Uche. They got married in a grand marriage ceremony in the village. And Uche was the happiest man that day. After their marriage, Uche asked Ngozi to move into his house in the village. But Ngozi begged to remain in Emeka's house, which Uche had renovated for them, claiming it was the only thing her children had in connection to their father. Uche accepted Ngozi's children and took them as his own. 3 months after Ngozi's marriage to Uche, she became pregnant and Uche was very happy. And so they continued to live in peace and harmony. One day when Ngozi's pregnancy was almost due, about 8 months gone, Ngozi was sitting in the sitting room, relaxing her head on Uche's chest when they heard a loud knock. As Ngozi opened the door to see who was knocking, she was shocked at the sight before her. It was Emeka, her first husband. He was looking wretched and unkempt, as if he was dragged out of the wilderness. Emeka, on the other hand, was also surprised to see Ngozi pregnant. It had been 6 years since he left. How can his wife pregnant? Inside, he was more shocked when he saw Uche seated, relaxed in his house. Before Emeka could open his mouth, Ngozi broke down in tears. "You left me, and for 6 years, I didn't hear a word from you," she cried. Emeka explained to her that he was busy working to get a good life for them and actually made some good money. Unfortunately, on his way back, he was attacked by robbers and they took all the money and left him with nothing. "So after 6 years, you returned with nothing?" Ngozi asked. Her question sent silence through the room. All the while, Uche remained quiet without uttering a word. Ngozi later told Emeka everything she and the children went through when he was away and had Uche help them. She told him that she gave up on waiting for him, so she married Uche, who was the only one genuinely there for her. Emeka sat there dumbfounded, not knowing what to do or say. In Agbafu, no woman has ever married 2 men. Neither has anyone ever heard of such. But here is Ngozi and her 2 legally married husbands. She had only one option, to divorce one of them. Uche was a kind man and had been good to her and the children. Plus, she was also carrying his child. Emeka, on the other hand, was her first love and they had 2 children together. With his predicament, she could not divorce him and leave him on the street with nothing. And so Ngozi made the difficult decision to stay married to both husbands. The men agreed as they both loved Ngozi deeply and wanted her to be happy. From that day on, Ngozi lived with both husbands under one roof. At first, it was very awkward and tense between Emeka and Uche, but over time, they developed a cordial relationship and lived as brothers for the sake of Ngozi and the children. Uche and Emeka worked together to provide for the family. Ngozi later gave birth to one more child, a son named Obinna, and it was unclear which of the 2 men was the father. But it didn't matter, as both Uche and Emeka treated all 4 children equally as their own. The family faced stigma and ridicule from others in the village for their uncommon living situation, but Ngozi did not care as long as her children were loved and provided for. Her 2 husbands stood by her side, supporting and defending her choice. In time, the people of Agbafu village came to respect them. Ngozi was admired for her bravery in breaking societal norms for the well-being of herself and her children. Emeka and Uche were praised as remarkable men, aside ego and jealousy, to prioritize their family. When Ngozi grew old and passed away, both Emeka and Uche were utterly devastated at the loss of their beloved wife. They stayed living together like brothers, caring for Ngozi's children and grandchildren, until the end of their days. Ngozi's life was one of hardship, sacrifice, and also immense love and loyalty. Her daring choices challenged traditions and showed that bonds of family can overcome all barriers. Many years after Ngozi's death, the story of the brave woman who married 2 husbands continued to be told across Agbafu and surrounding villages. Parents would gather their children and recount the incredible tale as an example of Ngozi's love for her family. Thanks for watching.